What up, what up, what is happening, good people? Welcome to this edition of Herb and Two alongside the illustrious Toussaint Warner. My name is Herb Howard. This is where we get together and talk about issues currently impacting the black community. We believe it is the perfect intersection of intellect and thuggery. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. My name is Herb. His name is Two. What's happening, good brother?
You just told me you had it like 5 seconds ago. You went away from everything we just said. But I'm here, man. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful and marvelous.
Well, we're back on brand.
All right, there we go. We're going to keep it regular around this joint. We are going to keep it regular.
Yeah, I got it. Do my own thing.
What did y'all thought of me when I said I had it?
What the fuck? I said goddamn.
I didn't make it a long intro.
So, man, you was across the pond. You and the other homie. The other homie don't want to be on camera today.
That's because, hell we've killer.
You know what I'm saying? Had a long week.
It's been a while. No, man, we hopped across the pond. I went over there to cover the Bears. He went over there for because you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And
John B.O. But
anyway, man, no, it was cool, man. I never had no real desires to go to London. It wasn't on my short list of a place to go and on my bucket list of things to do. But it was a trip I didn't know I needed, man. It was cool. I got to reflect on some things. Obviously, I knew about the historical significance and relevance of London. That was cool to go around and see stuff like that, the palace and towers and bridges and all that.
The epicenter of the whites.
That was that part of it in terms of just walking around and that kind of sightseeing. That part was cool. But just more so reflecting, just about my own personal journey for a lot of different reasons was just cool, man. So I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. The Bears handled business, so that was fun too. And it was cool, man. Shout out to all the bruvs in London, yeah?
Bruvs. In it.
Said it was a regular day here at the studio, but it is not. It is not. We are absolutely thrilled to be joined in studio. The one and only Imani Dixon is here. She of so many things. You are a well-accomplished woman.
With amazing posture.
Thank you.
Hold on, you're right. Let me sit the fuck up. Let me sit up.
Thank you.
Get my shit together. No, but Imani, it's so good to have you back.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
We were blessed enough for you to join us once before, and you come back to hang out with us again, man. Thank you so very much. How are you?
I'm well. I prayed before I came,
I do that every time I hang out.
All right.
Every time I'm be around too, I do that.
No,
it's me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had to
Proper.
do a little.
You didn't get no bad answers when you pray. Like, don't go see the
prayer?
movies.
What would you ask for in your prayer?
Just patience and clarity and
Take that.
and peace and all those good things.
Is that what it requires to come hang out with us?
That's a requirement to come outside some days.
Man, that's
I
real.
feel that.
Most days.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Nah, for real. But you good though?
I'm well.
Thank you. Let's just start there then. Let's have a conversation from there. What you talk about? Basically, essentially protecting your peace, right? And setting your own intentions for the day, for the week, for whatever. What goes into that, and why? Probably now more than ever, at least I would say in my own lifetime, is that so necessary?
I would say that it's been an ongoing journey. While some people have sort of the framework or the foundation early in life to set boundaries, some people kind of have to create that for themselves as they go through the trials and tribulations of life. So I would say within the past 2 years, and I moved back to Chicago 2 years ago, actually.
Right.
I was in Houston. And Chicago naturally is a very grounding place. And it was just, as deeply reflective as I am, I found that there was more to do.
Sure.
And so in that reflection, I found that I wasn't that great with setting boundaries with family, friends, work environments, anything, you know. So that really just looked like making conscious decisions around places I put myself in, environments, trusting that first instinct of like, this just really ain't my vibe, you know what I mean, and moving around. It's difficult when you work in hospitality. Like I've worked in hospitality and food and beverage primarily. And so by default, I know a lot of people in the city. So, you know a lot of DJs and
those are relatively uncontrolled environments.
You know, they can be. They can escalate. And then the thing about Chicago for me is that I have people that know me from many different spaces.
Sure.
And the person that I say that I am now compared to who I was when I was 18, when I came back here to go to UIC, you know, is very different 10 years later. So encountering individuals in the city that aren't quite ready to meet you where you're at, after a while you get kind of tired of trying to make them. So sometimes you just feel like you need to just move around. Like, it's not my space. It's not for me to have to bring you to where I am currently.
No, I agree. I agree 100% that it's not my responsibility to bring you to where I am, right? I think our only responsibility is to show up authentically.
That's it.
Like, I show up authentically, and if you remember her from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 minutes ago, that's up to you, right? This is 5 minutes later. This is where I'm at right now. And though I'm intentional about being the same at my core in terms of my values and more belief, like, the things I do may be different. The things I'm interested in may be different. The things I allow may be different. The things I associate with may be different. And it's up to you if you want to catch this new wave or not.
Right.
It ain't up to me to bring you with it, though. It ain't up to me to reach back and like, oh, I know you remember me from when I was just, you know, gangbanging or messing with this woman and that one. That's not what I'm on. You know what I mean? So meet me where I'm at or don't. You know what I mean? I don't, for me personally, right? And I don't know. It sounds like you might be carrying that, like that responsibility. For me personally, fuck y'all. Right. It ain't my responsibility. It ain't my business how you feel about me. That's you deal with that.
No, I struggle. Right. I hear what you're saying, and I get it. And in a lot of ways, I'm in that same, I guess, on that same journey. And I guess in reality, we all are. Right. I heard something today, and it says, man, you want to know who you really are. Look at your children. Right? If you look at your children, that would be the definitive of who you are, not who you think you are. You look in the mirror, you're bound to see who you think you are. But if you want to know who you are, look at your children. And it's like, if they hate you, why? If they love you, why too? Don't dismiss even the love part.
Sure.
Everybody don't got children, but
I was gonna say I don't know what to think about me then.
But that's a very
it's very interesting to me.
Because even as a child, you can think that.
Sure.
Your parents and how they see you.
Good point.
You know?
Good point.
Oh shit, that's that white coffee. It just got to me.
You don't like it, yeah?
Yeah, isn't it?
Not a proper coffee.
Yeah, not a proper one, bruv. But even outside of the reflection of your kids, like I said, I've been in that space, right? And I've come to realize that I don't really have any boundaries either, right? But then I also think that what is the real value of the boundary, right? Because the journey itself is what's supposed to be. You understand what I'm saying? And the more we barricade ourselves from whatever the journey is, the more we stunt the growth. You understand what I'm saying? Like, even those that lack of boundary, like, and I said, if you want to see who you are, look at your children. But simultaneously, right, when every relationship is a reflection. So when you come in contact with those people who are, you know, engaging you from a perspective of what might have been, right, there might be something deep in us too that still resonates with what might have been, hence why they're even back into our circumference.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I understand what you mean by that, because there is a level of, you don't want to necessarily avoid either things, because we know that trigger is a big word, right? So people run with that and they're like, I'm triggered, and it prevents them from living, essentially, from taking risks, from being in certain spaces, from doing certain things. I had an incident that made me really have that recollection of like, okay, yeah, you're setting boundaries, but clearly you're not quite healed from what it is that you didn't like this person saying to you. You know what I'm saying? In this public space, in front of like a bunch of people, and very, very obnoxious and all the things, and ignorant. And although I felt like I had come a long way, and I felt like I had set those boundaries, clearly I wasn't comfortable enough or secure enough in that moment, because I had been kind of avoiding the trigger, right, to walk away in the way that I could have, in the poised way that I should have, maybe. I don't know if that relates to an extent to what you're saying, but I feel like too much of anything can be bad. I think a barricade, because when you said barricade, I think that made me really think about how, I guess it kind of had more of a negative connotation, maybe, in the way that it's like, okay, it can be a bad thing. So I guess that's...
There's this concept that says, whatever the seeker seeks, the prover will prove, right? I can't think of the name of it, but it's a specific kind of atom. And I mean atom in the scientific sense, right? And it cannot be seen with the naked eye until your mind believes you can see it. Whatever the seeker seeks, the prover will prove, right? It ain't a real thing until you believe it's a real thing. Right?
100%.
Like, that's some real scientific shit.
I agree with that.
It
100%.
ain't a real thing until you believe it's a real thing, right? And I say that to say that, back to the conversation we're having, when I realized that I don't have boundaries, and I started to look at it from the standpoint of, again, we move through these mediums. Like, even the concepts of triggers and boundaries, and these are very millennial ass concepts. You know what I mean? Niggas lived in cabins and didn't own shoes and didn't own their bodies. What the fuck is your trigger? You know what I mean? So when we come from an environment like that, these are very nuanced and new wave kind of ideas to even fathom, right? And to the point of the atom that, you can't see it till you believe it, from a very spiritual standpoint, there's this idea that everything in your reality is a figment of your mind. Everything. You bring all of it into existence. Like, we wouldn't be in this room if everybody in this room's mind wasn't agreeable that we all in this room. You know what I mean? Just a very interesting concept. And I think oftentimes, I'm going to finish it real quick. I think oftentimes, specifically with the very nuanced language that we use, right, of health and healing and therapy, it segments us from the real universal concept of all of this shit is interconnected. Which means all of it is supposed to be. Because all of it is the stew that makes you the you. You know what I mean?
No, I feel that, man. I would ask the question, like, when you talk about belief, right? You can't see this thing until you believe it exists. And then, like, what is the threshold of belief, right? And to me, there's some action to it, right? There is I believe this thing. Cool. I heard you say that shit. Show me you believe that shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker tell me I believe I can fly. Cool, jump off that motherfucking building. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you just standing up here talking. When the action starts to go, then that's where, like, faith really kicks in. That's when I really believe that if I move this way, the universe will move with me, and eventually, ultimately, I will see what I thought I would see at the other side of this thing. Now, in between, I don't really know what that looks like. I can't say. I can only be steadfast and true to what I know to be true. And on the way of that, you talk about boundaries, you talk about, like, I think those things are necessary, parameters, right? Those things are necessary. And it's okay to say, I've turned the page to the next chapter. Don't mean I'm fronting like this part of me don't exist or it never happened, right? All this come with me. All this come with me, right? And so, yeah, I might be on to the next thing, and somebody's still gonna remember on folks offset, like, somebody's still gonna remember that, right? And that's cool. I'm not trying to diminish that. I'm not trying to throw that away. All that come with me, but I'm not focused on that no more. That's not where I'm at no more. And so now we just move on, right? I was telling y'all about a story, an incident happened to me when I was in London just a minute ago. And all y'all, because y'all know a lot of my history, was like, and so you did this, and I was like, no, I didn't do it, right? And that's cool, right? I know why y'all said I did. Wonderful. I didn't, though. You know what I'm saying? And I think I can understand where I'm at and say I didn't, while also understanding why I was like, you probably did.
I was on full bullshit. I didn't care if you did or didn't.
No, I'm just saying. I just did.
And actually, we asked.
Like, what'd you say?
I asked. I didn't say you did anything. I asked you.
Yeah, no, because you're a good person. I'll tell you what you did, even though I have no idea. I'm not a good person.
But I'm in full agreement with you. I think the nuance of the conversation or the differences in the ideas is, like, whatever the seeker seeks to prove will prove, right? So it's like when I turn the page to the next chapter, just like any page is filled with words.
Sure.
Right? And you got to get to the bottom of that page to get to the next page.
Sure.
oftentimes when we turn the page in our mind, we still have to finish out the story to get to the next page, right? And if you start to put up the boundaries, or if you start to put up these nuances or new standards, you're changing the story now, right? Because you're operating as if you're in full out control. No, it's a communal construct. It's all of this has to be merged together to make the story a complete story.
All right, fuck it.
So all I'm saying is, like, in between the first sentence of the page to the next chapter is you still got to get through the minutia of this page.
Fuck it. We was just talking about somebody that we all close to, and it was like, I think they might have moved on to another page. It ain't my responsibility to figure out why, how, or what.
Not at all.
Right? And I don't, you know what I mean? It's all still the same with me. It's all still love with me. I'm still going to hit you the same way or whatever, or when I see you, whatever. And then it's like, oh, cool. You know what I'm saying?
It's cool.
Does that mean that either one of us cannot move on because we didn't have this long, drawn-out conversation about whatever the fuck decision was made, whenever the fuck it was made? Well, I don't know why it was made. I don't particularly care why it was made. But if it was made and that's where you at with it, cool. I respect where you at in your journey, respect where I'm at in my journey, and
that's,
you know what I mean?
We good.
I like to close chapters neatly, right? So if I have a relationship with somebody, be it, you know, platonic, be it romantic, be it business, whatever, familial, whatever, and then at some point we no longer have the relationship, I would like to put a pretty bow on it and be like, well, for whatever reason it's ending, that's cool. If this is my fault, I would like to know, can I address it? Can I, you know what I mean? And if not, that's cool too, right? But either way, the book continues.
No doubt. All I'm saying is we're saying the same thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right.
It's one of those philosophical conversations where it's just, it really isn't an answer. It's
No,
just multiple different streams, you know, of thought as you talk about it.
Yeah. You said you want to bowl. My new idea is that I'm going to accept it all with gratitude. That's it. Even the negatives. You understand? Because whatever this negative is, it's a lesson I was supposed to learn. So instead of getting uptight about whatever the lesson is, I'm going to appreciate the lesson and keep it pushing.
May I pause you parenthetically on the gratitude piece, man? I just want to say that I am in a space of such immense gratitude right now. Like, just grateful about everybody that I'm surrounded by, everybody that I'm in connection with. I'm just blessed. I feel like I'm so blessed. I'm around a lot of good fucking people, man. A lot of good fucking people, man. I want to shout out Jay Illa, and I ain't gonna make it too public because he's not a super public nigga and it don't really matter, but he just showed a great gesture of just love out of the fucking clear blue. Was it today? I think it was today. It might have been yesterday. I don't know what day it is since I went to London. Like between the time change and the 9 hour, I don't know what fucking day it is. I'm still trying to catch up on that. But I'm just surrounded by so many good people, man. I feel like y'all here, like the team and the family we got here at Urban too, but like the team and family I got with the bigs, and like shout out to my guy Jason Lee. Like I'm just surrounded by great people, man. I woke up and I realized that the other day, and I was like, man, I'm just fucking immensely grateful for the people that I'm around. So when you mentioned gratitude, I just had to pause parenthetically to just, you know, shout out to the universe for that. I don't know. I try to be good to the universe. Like I try to put out good shit, but it sends it back tenfold, and I'm blessed and grateful and appreciative of that. So thank all of y'all that's you know real. In and around my village. I appreciate it. I recognize it, and I do not take it for granted.
We've been hogging the conversation, and I want to know more about this book you read.
No, it's okay. I'm listening. That's the beautiful thing about life too. Is, you know, you learn about how it's okay to just be quick to listen.
It's very important.
At times, so.
It is.
Yeah.
But I still want to know about this book.
Okay, we can talk about it.
So explain to me first. What's the title of the book? Tell me about it.
The book is called I Can't Find My Wand. I published it originally last year. I forget the month at this point, y'all. And I had to republish it, which was in March.
Don't gloss over that, because you like redid the whole thing. Like you went through the whole entire process, reread the book 100 times, checked every word, every comma.
So when I initially, when I wrote this book, actually, when I put the book together, because the writing process for my first book as well as my my most recent book, I technically had 3 books at one point, and then I combined the first part and the second part into one book. So this was a process of 3 books and really perfecting them to what I wanted them to be. When I was working on my latest book, I was in a very difficult space, transitional space, and I felt, as I look back, I realized that I was kind of rushing through it. And I was so eager to be done with something. I felt so defeated at that point. This is when I first moved back to Chicago. And I just felt I needed something to feel like I accomplished something. I wanted to feel like purposeful and proud, because I was lacking that. And in that process, I was trying to plan a book signing party and all of these things, and nothing was going as planned. All these connections I thought I had, all these different venues and photographer friends and people I've supported for years, it was like it was just rough. People were really giving me a hard time, and everything was just falling through real bad. And then I had the cherry on top was this one last in a space that had volunteered to help me, and I made it very public, as I do with a lot of things, that I was struggling to put this all together. And the gentleman, he took me to a really dark place in my past with this sort of quid pro quo type situation. You know what I'm saying? And it really sucked. And I had to make it. It would have been free. It would have been all the things, but it was like it just wasn't worth
the strings.
It wasn't worth it, bro. It just wasn't. And so I had to just say, all right, I had to cancel the whole thing. And I put a lot of work into the.
Oh, we finna get into some two-side shit. Let's go.
Okay. I put a lot of work into.
Let's do it. I'm here for it.
Every little thing, like everything. I did everything from scratch. All the cover. I'm independently published, so the cover, the font, like the spacing of the font to like the bottom.
Wait, hold on. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Independently published. Because I think like we're in a day and age where you can go direct to consumer now in a way that you've never been able to do before. And so everybody talks about independent music and art and everything else. It's like what does that mean? Because people that's not actually doing those things, I don't think they really get it. Like and all that goes into it.
Yeah, of course. So. You know, like your books you see, they're like New York Times bestseller type books. If you look at most books, they'll have like a publishing company, right? Like it'll be like a very, like somebody.
It's a few huge ones.
A lot of really big ones, right? They go to these publishing companies and they do pretty much everything. Like I have never been that author, so I don't know how that process works, but I know it's different. I know that there's a certain amount of funding and a certain amount of money and things that are put up. You know, it's just a different process. So to be independently published, which also can kind of be a little nuanced as well. In my particular case, I publish through Amazon. There's a lot of people who are independently published that go through Amazon to publish their book, which essentially they just use the platform itself, which is KDP. Technically, that's the actual publishing of subset of Amazon. And you use their software. You upload your manuscript, you do the title and all the things to be able to sell your book through Amazon. So they actually manufacture the book itself. And
what's the give and take for that? Because like for us, we used to like print, produce, and ship all of our own merch, and it was fine. And we got to keep more of a larger share of the money, but it was a headache. Right? Yeah. Keeping up with all the orders, getting to all the shipping, and then you got to pay for it. It was just a headache. So what we decided to do was go with a third-party thing that could do the whole thing and take the order directly and ship it, drop ship.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the trade-off obviously is going to be the higher percentage. Not obviously, but there's a royalty, right? You get a royalty from your book sales. So there's a percentage that Amazon takes from each sale. And then on top of that, you get paid like every 3 months. So it's like it's tough. It's like a very difficult thing if you're that author that's like, I need these little coins
right now, right?
You know what I'm saying? So the most advantageous thing to do is to do what they call order your author copies, which is you just ordering your books at the cost what it costs to make the book. Okay. So you order that in bulk. So you order 100 of those, right? And let's say your book's $2 to make. Sure. So there's 200 and some change, right? And so that's the most ideal way to really make the most of what you're selling. But the only problem with that is having even
now still you got to go sell them.
You got to sell them in the capital up front to order the bulk of books. And so it's a whole thing, you know, and I've been going through it now for 4 years. But back to just what was going on at the time, all of that just didn't sit well with me, how that process went, how everything fell through. And I read my book like 3 times, more than that, honestly. And I was like, you know what, I'm not really feeling, this isn't really speaking to me the way I'd like it to. And I had written a lot more stuff since then as well. So I wanted it to be a lot more cohesive. So it was a process that took me about a month and a half of editing, because I edited my own books, every little detail, grammatically and everything. And then I added like 15 writings to it and a whole thing. And the first 2 books was still a process too, because I had to combine them. So that was it was a lot.
I feel like your books, right, kind of like in this series, right? And I feel like it's very aligned with the conversation that we're having right now about like these different iterations of oneself. And the title of your first book, or at least the first one that you put out, right? Young Black Cole and so much more, right? And then you got I Can't Find My Wand, right? And as we had this conversation, that we started with, and it's like, okay, here I am. Here I'm going to evolving on my own journey. People want to hold me here. I'm going, but even as I'm going, I still can't. I haven't found it just yet, right? I haven't found it just yet. And because you're in that space of evolving, but have not, I won't say arrived. You never arrive. It's an ever evolving thing, right? But even as you're on this process and you haven't found that wand yet, you become vulnerable to people trying to pull you back into certain spaces or view you in certain ways. It's like, no, how do I maintain where I'm going even though I haven't yet found my wand? You know what I mean?
And so to go back to what the book is and what it's about, I Can't Find My Wand isn't the triumphant black divine queen goddess. I came out of the shadows of the Phoenix arose. You know, like it wasn't that. It really, the first chapter is called Hoish Outtakes. I mean, it's really me talking about being very raw, as I always am, and transparent about that process of not being a dancer anymore. You know, and being like, yo, I'm having a hard time assimilating to just like regular spaces and regular work environments and all the things, and repressed, you know, emotions and decisions that were made, and just a lot, you know what I mean? And I moved back home. I had to tell my mom for that first year, you know, in a very small space.
Your mom is dope.
My mom is.
Hold up.
I don't know her. I'm just saying. She came to an event that we were hosting, and she was having a good time. She was just full of energy. That's what I was saying. She was full of energy and having a great time.
Shout out to Tony Shelton. She's pretty awesome.
So I want to extract like pieces of the conversation.
I know, because a lot was said.
There's a lot going on, right? But it's so intriguing to me, specifically in the moment in time. One of the things you said was you had talked to some guy, and he brought you back to some quid pro quo shit. The second part, another part of the conversation that was very intriguing to me was you was like, I was rushing through the book because I wanted to feel like I accomplished something, right? And there was the third one. It's escaping me in this moment, right? Getting back to the context and the title of the book, Not Having Found Your Wand, right? The one, the need to feel accomplished, right?
Quid pro quo.
I'm just saying the need to feel accomplished, right? So we have a lot of conversations up here around relationships, and there's this idea, at least this idea that I have, that very few people experience love, right? And I don't think we desire to even experience love. I think we deeply, I think we desire to feel love, but I think contextually we look at love through a lens of transactionalism, right? And that becomes the guidepost, and we forget about love.
Yeah.
Right.
Or confuse it.
Or we make that love.
But
like
hear what I'm saying.
Literally.
And this is not even with another party. This is even with ourselves. I.e. I don't feel accomplished.
Right.
I'm negotiating with me.
Right.
Right? Because internally, I don't feel whole just because whatever.
I'm not worthy of my love until I accomplish.
Until I do something, I'm not even good with me. Right? And if you're not good with you, how could you ever have a relationship with a partner without commanding or demanding of them the same very transactional nature.
Right.
You know what I mean? And very few of us operate from even that understanding. Right. And having you here today brings me to something that's popularized in the media lexicon right now. I can't remember the girl's name, but she was being interviewed by Angel Reese.
She used to date Travis Kelce.
And she used to date Amon Shumpert.
Also.
The black young lady that was dating?
Yeah, I can't think of her name right now.
I don't know her name either.
I don't know her name
but
either.
Yeah.
But point is, she makes a statement. Angel Reese like, something about the 50-50 on the Bills. And her response was,
do I look like
I'm a 50-50 on the Bills woman?
Oof.
Right? Now, it's been a lot of conversation around her making that statement, but there's another conversation around Cameron responding to that statement.
What did
Cam was like,
I saw that.
ugly to me.
I saw that.
Oh, wow.
He was like, you're a beautiful girl, but the minute you open your mouth,
right.
It said that.
ugly to me.
Right.
Right?
Kayla Nicole is her name. Kayla
like,
Nicole.
as pretty as you are, there's other women out here with better box.
Right.
There's other women out here that are more interesting.
Right.
There are other women out here that have better senses of humor. And he went down the line or whatever, and there's people pushing back on him because, Cam speaks in a certain language and a certain tone. But from a very esoteric, spiritual standpoint,
he's 100%
He's not
correct.
incorrect.
I'm with him.
No, he's absolutely correct.
Right? And I think that culture that Kayla Nicole is speaking to has become the prominent culture of Black America.
Yes.
Now, people associate that shit with the strip club or the hood. Right. I think that shit resonates in the minds of lawyers, doctors,
oh, no.
It's American.
teachers.
And that, to your point, a lot in the book, I have a writing literally about that. Like, the judgment and I see all the same. I see some of the worst stuff. Do you curse on here?
Yeah, say whatever you like.
I see some of the worst.
Damn, go for it.
Say how you feel.
Some of the worst shit, in regular spaces, around the school teachers, around the CEOs, around the lawyers, around these types of individuals. And to be honest with you, the flip side of that, right? A woman, the male equivalent of somebody like that I've encountered is the sizing up oftentimes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying just because he may not know my past at all. It could just be a regular conversation and just around the
sizing up in what capacity?
And this, first it'll start just being all about his accomplishments first and foremost, right? Leading with that, I do this and I do that, and I'm trying to look for, I need a woman I can, that Black excellence, Black love excellence combined type hashtag type, aesthetically pleasing marriage, right? Which we're statistically seeing it ain't looking too good because people are getting married so fast and divorcing actually really crazy right now. But that, do I look like, what did she say?
Do I look like
I would go 50-50?
Do I look like I'll go 50-50,
What the fuck does that look like?
And to be honest, a girl
she's a beautiful girl. I'm gonna be clear.
Mentality, the girls that she feels like wouldn't go, what that looks like, and what if you were to put a picture on the girl that she may be talking about.
Sure.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you because it's
not a real thing.
It isn't real, right? And so I'm seeing across the board, whether it's a stripper chick or a your regular working down the street at the little corner store chick, it's just this it's like a almost manifestation mentality to a fault. So y'all about to just be pushing that same 50-50 narrative and what I look like?
Kayla Nicole is so much more aesthetically pleasing than is Taylor Swift, right? That was Travis Kelce used to be with her. Now he's with Taylor Swift.
It really depends.
I'm speaking for me.
Oh, okay.
Right? She's way more aesthetically pleasing. I've seen Taylor Swift. She was in my face this close. I was like, why are y'all wilding about this woman? She's extra regular white woman. Extra regular white woman. Shout out to all the accomplishments and all that. She's extra regular. So, Kayla, way more aesthetically pleasing to me. Mm-hmm. But I would go for. Hold on. Taylor Swift, who he left you for, would never say what you just said. Never.
But, and I'm going to throw a but in there, right?
Because it's going to become that white girl versus the black girl thing. And
I don't want to start a versus. I want to start a versus nothing.
I don't give
that divisiveness of
I don't give a shit about
There's a lot of fine white women. Taylor Swift ain't one of them.
Hear what I'm saying, and this goes back to what I was saying about the spiritual aspect of this whole shit, right? Travis Kelce dates whatever the girl's name is. If she has that mindset, it's something in him that's reflective of that mindset. Otherwise, you couldn't deal with it.
That's why the whole conversation was about how he changed his haircuts, and he was just now he started dressing like Herb too. Yeah. Now he started dressing like P. Now he started dressing like niggas from New York. Now he started dressing like you got taper. Now he back with Taylor Swift now. Now he got his little fucking porn stash and that kind of shit.
What he looked like.
Right.
The mindset behind this.
Because that was the whole conversation out of that. Remember that was the black girlfriend effect?
That's the outside conversation. I'm dealing with his spirit.
Right.
Sure.
If he's dealing with this kind of woman over here, I don't know the white girl, but I do know she's financially heavy.
Sure.
Right? He's already on the negotiation table because
she gotta be
woman he dealt with forever has a negotiation mindset.
She gotta be pushing the Billy.
Right? So he ain't no different. He was negotiating, or you wouldn't be with her.
I mean, first of all, he's been negotiating.
I don't know if that's true, but maybe.
No, that's the argument I've been making. Right? If you want to know who you are, look at your children. Right? So I say this all the time. We are mirror reflections of the people we relate to. Right? So if Kayla Nicole is speaking in this manner, confidently, like I'm proud of this about me, right? It's something in him that was attracted to that energy.
There's a lot of men that are also enabling that.
Right? And when he goes to Taylor Swift represents a better negotiation.
Opulence and
it's just a better negotiation.
And there's I happen to be one of those black girls that actually was kind of a Taylor Swift fan, when I was in high school. And I mean, her music, I'm a writer, so I could listen to any artist and love whatever they put together.
It sounds good. I fuck with it. I just don't know her shit.
She's I don't know if this is what it does it for him, but her music does give a lot more of that vulnerability, and there's even if there is a talking of heartbreak or whatever, there's still that femininity that is there, and there's I don't know, maybe there's some of that there where she doesn't need to talk about. Granted, she's almost a billionaire. I don't know.
I'm sure she's pushing a billion.
I don't know. She gotta
be pushing a billion.
She's doing real well, but nonetheless,
she's that tier. She's that Beyonce tier. That she's more white people. So she's up there.
Doing well, yonder. But that way of speaking and being comfortable and confident and not thinking there's anything wrong and this is just. That says a lot in and of itself. I always say, I wish Shane would come back a little bit. Just a little bit.
A lot of bit. I said that before. No, I'm so dead ass.
For real.
Right?
It's a problem.
There's an argument that says America's only moral competency comes from black people. And I think it makes all the sense in the world. Because when you think about the impetus of the country, all we had to offer was morality. Right? Now that we get access to assimilating to the construct of America, you just said, I wish Shane would come back, right? Which is absence of our morality clause, right?
Everything goes.
And I'm not knocking nobody, but I've said this before.
We've talked about this a lot. You know what I'm saying? I know you
all the time. He called me judgmental than the motherfucker. I don't give a fuck, right? I ain't mad at nobody being a hoe. But don't lie to me and say you ain't a hoe. Them is hoes behaviors. Be proud of the hoe you are. Right? If you a shooter and you a murderer, be the murderer. Don't lie to me. Right? You can't have a behavior set and then tell me something different. Right? Now we can operate from that standpoint all day long, but I'm not gonna pretend that you XYZ while you doing XYZ. I'm not good at that shit.
I don't want to get into that conversation about why I disagree, but I feel the point you're making 100%. The Taylor Swift thing, man. When I told you I saw her at the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium where Travis Kelce played. I'm down in the tunnel, and here she comes, just walking past. Nigga, the way people were acting, I'm standing right next to a very prominent black person that everybody in this country would know, right? And this man is on charge. And I'm like, bruh, is you cool? He like, Herb, that's fucking Taylor Swift. I'm like, is you cool, nigga? Like, cool the fuck out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just out of hand how people were behaving. And I'm the only one sitting there like, yo, bugging the fuck out. And she's wild. I'm like, yeah, like, why y'all wilding? I don't get that. I don't personally get that. Like,
I do though. It's what we've been talking about, right? It's Imani saying I got to hurry up because I want to feel like I accomplished something.
These are the same people that's here to see Patrick Mahomes too.
But
We're gonna go talk to Patrick Mahomes. Nobody's gonna wow the fuck out. Like, cool out.
No, hear what I just said though, right? So we quantify value through that transaction. It's for me, all this shit is the result of capitalism, right? Mm-hmm. The stronger the capitalist mindset is, the more defunct your morality is, right? So even at that stage where you stand in a room full of millionaires, because that becomes the standard of value. When a billionaire walk in, you are no longer the standard of value.
It's different.
It's different. If that's what you align yourself to is and how you assess value, then that's exactly the result you're gonna get. Even the millionaire's gonna jump and clap. It's
gonna bow down and to me that's the thing, that's the issue, right? And so as soon as I see people, anytime I see anybody go super crazy about somebody as though they're up above them, I'll start to side out of that person. Because what that also tells me, if you see anybody as above you, I immediately think, I know you also see other people as beneath you, right?
Absolutely.
Like, you put people on these fucking hierarchies, and it's like, no, I see everybody as equal, living, breathing, inhaling, exhaling oxygen, bleeding, whatever. Now, what you do in your career, as we may judge success by different metrics, cool, you might be wildly successful in your career. I respect it and salute that. I respect it and salute. I'm a person who loves football, played football for as long as I could until my body was like, or my skill set was like, that's as far as you can go with this shit. Cool. I'm still around niggas who do it at the highest level. I respect that. I applaud that. But other than the fact that you are fucking amazing at football, I do not think that you are any better than any other person walking the face of this earth. Y'all are fucking bugging. Like, cool out.
The ego a motherfucker though, cuz. And oftentimes we equate ego to like this kind of very outward idea of aggrandizement. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily attach ego to fear, but it's the same shit, right? Ego go both ways, right? If you are in a mindset to say, I can't be or I'm not, your ego will reinforce that too. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it goes both ways. But what I'm saying is the culture of capitalism empowers ego.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And when you empower ego, you really are divesting from the spiritual journey. You're divesting from the humanity. Right? You're operating outside of you and operating in the ego.
Mm-hmm. So let me try to bring this in a little bit, right? Are we talking about these things as these larger philosophical ideas? How does that play out in the regular day-to-day life? How does that play out with your family, with your romantic partners, with your friends? What does that look like in those spaces? What does that look like when you talk about choosing somebody to date? When do you see that? When does that show up? When are you like, I don't like that? Or just a friend?
Ego?
I was going to say same question, but how does that relate to not having or not finding your wand per se?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All of it.
Well, to your point, and it kind of goes back to what I said earlier in regards to the boundaries and everything. That was a realization for sure, you know, and I think that's where the republishing came in the first place, was knowing that I had tied myself to this, like, really just needing to accomplish something and feel like I did it, you know, and feel proud. And how kind of sad that was, that there wasn't a feeling of wholeness and accomplishment just by default, just by being, just by existing, just by making it to Chicago, you know, whatever it was. And so the can't find my wand, I think it was, again, and I don't know if I said this earlier, is the disillusionment. And I love that word because it really captures for me what it all, that magic, like this thing, right? This, it can be tangible, but it can also be like this invisible thing, that black girl magic in and of itself, right? That's what the title is alluding to in the I Can't Find My Wand, and how black girl magic tends to look and feel, back to the concept of aesthetics and all of these things, a certain way. and even the spiritual aspect of it, because I touch on that too. I even get into literal magic, and witchcraft and stuff through the book. I mean, it's just all types of things that I try to sort of touch on in regards to not finding that wand. Now, of course, in a way, is me saying that there is no wand. So that's really in the grand scheme of it all. Is that I can't base my sense of anything off of this fictitious, this made up magic wand or anything.
I like that.
And so that's what it's all about.
The challenge, though, I think that was.
I like that. I like that, P. He giving the poetry snaps. I like that.
Right.
That's
the
hard.
disillusionment. I agree. The word, the fact that there is no one, I agree. But I also think that back to the way the society works, right? It leverages these constructs. It leverages these ideas as empowerment, right? And it uses you against you. You know what I mean? And because we've not let go of ego, we fall in line, right? So what does black girl magic look like, right? Like you said, there's an idea as to what that looks like. But if I pull back the layers on what that looks like, oftentimes that really pulls you away from everything that is truly magical about you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so many of us are vying for the spot in the magic show.
Right.
Losing our real identities.
Right.
That really have intricate value.
And that's not popular. And so that's always been, even with although the book's called Young Black Hope is so much more, as I said in the very first interview we did, I didn't put my ass on the cover for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So similar to this book, like it isn't popular to be like, yo, things are rough right now. I don't fall within that highly successful, independent, black woman trope. I just wrote about that today. I can't relate to Insecure as much as other people did. Like, that's not my story. We have enough of those characters being displayed in all these shows and movies and all these things, and it's like, at what point do you just say, like, listen, this is my story. This is my real, my page, I haven't been able to get into the TikTok and then the YouTube and all that shit. It just doesn't feel, it's too performative for me, which is ironic because people assume that I'm going to be this very performative person given my background as a dancer. But what they don't realize is that those are two different things.
You anything
because even on that stage, that was still authentically me. It was just a different version of me. There's two different types of performative. Me on a day-to-day and how I write and what I choose to talk about, that is very much authentically who I am. And it might not go the distance and be, I'm okay with not being that girl. But what I do believe and what I trust wholeheartedly on a spiritual level, on an energetic level, is that we're moving into the era, into the wave of that real coming back retired. I mean, economically alone,
that's what
people are just like, fuck that. I don't want to see you flashy shit no more, bro. We really, groceries too high. Can we talk about that?
I'm glad you mentioned the aesthetic of your book covers. I'm glad you mentioned the aesthetic of your book covers. When I can't find my wine, he was like, how you like the look of it? Like, what you think it looked like? And I was like, first of all, it's super nice. It's very clean, right? Which I always like in any presentation. Also said it was artistic. It was mysterious. It was intriguing.
If only we had the book, y'all. It's okay.
I meant to have a display right here. I live at home.
We're gonna bring it to.
Yeah, we're gonna put it on. We'll put it in there anyway. I meant to have it here, but and I said that it was artistic, mysterious, and intriguing. I said quite like its author, right?
And I remember that, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
It made my day when I read it.
Yeah, I feel like it was authentic, right? And I thought it was very reflective of you, which I thought was dope. I want to ask both of y'all this, and then we're gonna get to dinner time and wrap up. But Angel Reese.
I'm sorry. Sorry. That segue was crazy. I'll ask you this. Angel Reese.
She is now a pseudo Chicagoan.
Oh, Lord.
By way of, Baton Rouge, New Orleans.
Which isn't too crazy. They're kind of cool.
Fuck with her. By way of Baltimore, right? She's from Baltimore. By way of Baton Rouge. Now she's in Chicago, right? 3 places I really fuck with.
Yeah, for real.
Probably my 3 favorite places in this country. You talk about Chicago, you know, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, DC area, DMV.
Yeah.
Like those probably my 3 favorite places in this country.
If you've ever been around all those people, you will understand like why we all tend to be cool in the same room.
Yeah, no, I fuck with all. I feel like she hit the trifecta. I ain't gonna lie.
For sure.
That being said though, like y'all was talking about Black Girl Magic and what that looks like. And on like some sense we all champion Angel. Like that's little sis, that's little cuz or whatever. Some people like her or whatever. On another level, she's now outside of her basketball self, right? She's everywhere. She's
Fashion
everywhere.
Week, yeah.
I think she was at the Victoria's Secrets lingerie model situation. She had her own lingerie photo shoot, ass out. She had her own outfit on, sheer joint. P, you fuck with that? P, you fuck with that? What up, P? Cause you know where I'm going with it. I'll finish introducing it, but y'all know where I'm going with it. I'm just asking, like, I don't even have a question. I just want to know, like, as this conversation come up, is she allowed? Ooh, you fucking good at this shit, boy. You should have a podcast, boy.
I'm about to put you on the.
You should have a podcast.
Little voiceover on the book, on the audio book.
You should have a podcast on the as a t-shirt. Nah, like the Black girl, like, does she have the freedom to just be a basketball player and say, hey, you got to hoop, or can she be a sex symbol? Can she be a socialite? Can she be everywhere as she's seemingly trying to be? And some people are like denigrating her for doing that, and other people like championing her for it.
That's kind of to an extent, and I try my best not to buy into the.
We talking about Kayla Nicole. She was on Angel Reese's podcast when she was talking that shit.
Right. I try to get into all of the, double standards, all that stuff. I mean, fact of the matter is, male athletes have been doing that to some degree, right? Now.
Had their asses out?
I mean, everything is in Sports Illustrated. There's some suggestive.
There is the Diddy tape.
Some suggestive pictures and poses and things of that nature. I've seen them, and I bought a couple of. Anyway.
Huh?
The magazines, the little.
The body edition, where they be naked and shit.
They were looking kind of good. Sports Illustrated, whatever joint.
I saw Simone Biles. I'm sorry, parenthetically. I apologize. She's this fucking big.
Oh, she's itty bitty. All of them
insane.
All the
she's this tall.
Gymnasts are very small people.
I looked right. Oh, she was right in front of me. I almost tripped up. I looked right over it. I looked down like, oh shit. I was like the GOAT. Okay. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I have no negative thing to say about Angel Reese, or any woman that black woman. Let me take that back. We all have opinions. So there are some black women like, but you're doing too much. But in that particular case,
is Angel Reese doing too much?
She's young. She is, she's in a space where she really is on a public front and all those things. And she's very much within that capitalism world. I mean, and it's hard not to be.
She's trying to get to her bag.
Very different. We all are in some regard.
Sure.
Right? It just so happens that she's on a platform where it's very much saturated in that area, right? So it's going to be that. Would I rather a little girl look up to her versus some of the other individuals that we have that are front and center? Yeah, to be honest.
Are we just figuring that out about her? Like when it was just basketball, that's all we knew. It was like, oh yeah, that's easy to do. She a hooper, she passionate. Now we starting to figure out.
I mean, it also depends on what you pay attention to. Like I don't look
sexy red in there.
I don't look into all the other shit she's doing. I don't look into her modeling and her.
I'm judging. I'm judging.
I mean, hey,
I'm asking.
I'm judging.
Come on.
And it's not about the clothes either. The most cringeworthy thing I've seen her do of recent is she was in a conversation with somebody, I don't know who, and it might have just been like a live or some shit. Like the outfits I could give a fuck about. She's 19, 20
My rent 8,000.
Right. That's what I'm speaking
That's what they do.
Because I just don't. Right. I'm like I don't.
But in that conversation right there, you just talked about. My rent is 8,000. Right. I don't even. The WNBA don't pay none of my bills. Shorty, you are in front of us because of the WNBA.
The only reason we know you, sweetheart.
The only reason we know you. And that's what I mean about the ego.
Was she getting paid in college though, like the other athletes that are being?
Don't matter.
Basketball is the only reason we know her.
Basketball is the only reason we know you, and you're at the highest level of the game for women basketball. Don't devalue that, shorty. That's what gave you the platform.
You're not the prettiest person in the world. You're not the swaggiest person in the world.
You're not above the game, baby.
It's because you hoop.
Because of the game that you have the platform.
Right.
You are starting to think it's you.
But then she can easily tie that back to, but it is my skill and my talent that got me.
And I could argue that it's not.
Sure, but she denied it though, right? If you were 6'3" star WNBA basketball player, then you could utilize that for sex appeal and socialism and everything else too, right? All those things you currently have, except you're not a WNBA star. So for her to throw that away like it don't have nothing to do with it.
Devaluing that. Like I've left a comment on that one. Like somebody on her team pull up coattail. Cause this will rip all that other shit you got access to away.
You're lying. And sometimes that's necessary. I mean, how does one really, that ego death as they call it, how do you have it unless you
fail? You
got to fall on your face. You feel me? I mean, some of them people fall a little crazier than others. I've had to fall a few times. I wouldn't say it was necessarily ego death. I would just say that it was some humbling that we all could use.
P, where we at with your girl, man?
All right. I just want to be, this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion for real. But I believe, like I said, she definitely needs a team. I think she don't have nobody backing her or guiding her in the right light because, some of this stuff, because I was at Wild 'N Out. Like the outfit she had on was totally inappropriate because it ain't even that hot outside. Do you want to be a Wild 'N Out girl?
It ain't even that hot outside.
But, okay, personal opinion. This is P.I.'s personal opinion. She's just growing into being attractive. So she grew up as an ugly duckling in real life. And she hooped and all of that shit.
Right. Yeah, nobody like the super tall ass woman at the school.
So this is your first time where you getting this light. This is the first time you getting that type of shine on you. Yeah. So it can hurt you or it can build you. You know what I'm saying? You can grow from it or it can fucking fuck you up. So at this point it looks like it's fucking up. And to be honest, I feel like if she don't get it together, my prediction is she'll be pregnant before she hoop again, or right after she start hooping, and she's not going to care about basketball anymore because she's going to get pregnant by somebody that can pay those bills. Because you wouldn't even mention these bills unless you're looking for another out or a reason for somebody. You know what I'm saying?
I top it up with Dirk in London. I ain't saying no names, but.
You already said one.
I ain't saying what he said, but I'm saying I talked up with Dirk in London in the tunnel. He was at the Bears game. I was like, yo, you in the tunnel? He's like, yeah, we chop it up down there. Chop it up with Dirk down there, but she might be.
and I give her grace. She's still a little girl.
And that's the thing, right? She's no different. That's why I give so much grace. I give a lot of grace, period, because that's what God's given me. So I'm not in a space. I know what ugly duckling syndrome's like. I know what it's like to seek a certain level of validation and all the things. Like, that's very much a part of my story. So asking me something like that, I'm like, the only difference between myself and somebody like Angel Reese is that she's like on the big fucking screen. You know what I mean? Like her whole life is public as hell. So it's just like, and if you don't have, and she's a part of that younger generation too though. So they don't have that discernment of like, maybe I shouldn't say this on live.
And they love the camera in the live.
They love it.
They can't wait to do it on they like if it didn't happen on camera and live, it didn't happen at all.
Exactly.
We like, man, move that camera in my motherfucking face. As I say this in the podcast.
Across the board. I mean, we saw that with, what's his name? The young man that played for the Grizzlies. What's his name?
John Morant.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, we've seen that with just that age group, period. And it needs to be addressed.
So I know we got to do dinner time.
Go ahead.
But when you start thinking about the hyperconnectivity of social media or the hyperconnectivity of just the phone itself, I'm not even going to say social media, that transactional, ego-driven idea is intensified. You know what I mean? And I guess, when you start thinking about books like the one you've written, and I haven't read it yet, but I definitely want to read it.
I think you'll like it.
I want to rock. I want to check it out, right? But when you say like this is a journey, and you say in order to defeat that ego, you got to first fail, and I agree with you 100%, right? I think that is par for the course. That's part of the journey. I think people who grew up in front of the camera or presenting, right? There's such a fear of failure, right? Again, that's what I mean about the barriers and the board. You just lie through, right? So even in the failure, you lied so much, you never rectify the behavior.
Right.
Because you won't even acknowledge the failure to yourself. Right? It's motherfuckers. My son specifically, I love the shit out of my kids. But I know them niggas get an outfit for Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come take my pictures, Bella. Like, that's a thing in my house.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? And
they different generation.
Shit, we got grown people.
I've seen people get fully.
You know what I'm saying?
I've seen people grown people, like you said. I've seen grown people get fully dressed. I'm talking face beat, hair done,
industry
get dressed, take pictures, and lay back down. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's an industry to rent a fake private jet to take photographs on.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm saying
that shit is
all
insane.
Jet ain't going nowhere.
But that speaks to the hypernation. But it's also what sells the Black Girl magazine.
Now you got a hat in your city for a week.
I'm saying? That's, all that shit is a presentation, but it's not real. Right? But the mind can't discern the two.
No, that's why you got a lot of sick people out here.
Yeah, your ass live in Inglewood with a goddamn I'm on Rodeo Drive mindset. Get the fuck out of here.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up. Imani. Here at Herb and Tool, we play a game. I gotta find another name for it. It's not really a game, but for lack of better terms, we play a game called Dinnertime. Shout out to Bump J. Y'all go get Dinnertime too while it is out. Y'all go get Dinnertime too while it is out. At Dinnertime, we ask you to pick 2 people throughout history, any era, dead or alive, right, that you would want to have dinner with. Those 2 people and you sitting down at the dinner table to have dinner, right? One of those people has to our hashtag, our tagline for Herb and Two podcast is intellectual thuggery. One of the 2 people you sit down and have dinner with has to represent that of an intellect, the other that of a thug.
It seems as if one by default has to be more modern because thug is quite literally like a.
As you define it. As you define. I think thug. I could argue.
It's arguable.
That thug is as primitive as an intellect. In fact, I would probably argue that thug is older than intellect.
Yeah, thug definitely came first.
Yeah, I would say people were thuggish before they were intellectual.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, we get into the etymology of it. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think being a thug is just more innate. It's about survival instinct.
Now, I've been thinking about this since yesterday, by the way.
Okay.
So that's how much I've been dreading it.
That's why you prayed?
You're right.
Send me a thug.
So, for dinner time, we ask that you find 2 people, any era, dead or alive, to have dinner with you, and for what reason you want to have dinner with those 2 people.
Man.
And again, this is as you define it. Don't have to be as society has defined them as a thug or society has defined them as intellect, as you define it.
This is really difficult. I think I would say Maya Angelou. And I mean, and it's kind of hard to say because she's kind of both to me.
As what? That's what I was gonna say. As what? As which one?
I feel like she's kind of both. I would say probably the intellect.
Okay.
The intellectual. And this is an interesting spin on this.
Sure.
If you'll take it.
Sure.
I would choose Malcolm X when he was a thug. Like prior to him converting.
Detroit Red.
I would argue when wasn't he a thug, but go ahead.
He's always, exactly, so that's what I mean. It's one of those things where it's going to always be complex and nuanced, like how I feel about myself at times. So it would be them. And I think that, first off, I think we would just have a lot of fun.
We got to start keeping the tally of who appears the most at dinner time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is Malcolm X's.
Malcolm has appeared more than anybody.
I think this is his 3rd time at dinner.
I can see that.
2nd?
I can see that. I mean, I've always loved Malcolm X. Like, I mean, who doesn't? I mean, that's not true. A lot of people don't. But I think that his story has always been very fascinating to me, and particularly his Detroit Red version of himself, and or his prior life, and just how and just that resilience and that reinventing and the things, like, it just has always resonated with me. And Maya similarly, a very similar type of story. And so I think that anybody, any artist or social figure or whomever that is able to draw from that underbelly of whatever they've had. They've had to rough it through.
Dig deep in there.
And come out on the other side and be like, and I was, and what?
And that.
And we still gonna talk this
and
shit.
That.
It's just something so dope about that to me. Like, neither of them ever shied away from
I love that.
who they were, what they came from. If anything, they put that shit on the table out the gate.
Come on.
And that's
so much more. So much more.
I loved it. So I think that's what the conversation would revolve around. I would just soak up anything they'd have to say. I probably wouldn't talk as much. I would just want to listen, just to the wisdom and take that and just go full stride into just becoming.
Both of them suffered the ills and traumas of America too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, in a very interesting way. Like, Maya was taken advantage of very early in her life. Malcolm, daddy, was a Garveyite who was murdered. His mom went completely insane.
She was left by her second husband, and
pregnant. Malcolm was always like a top tier student. Maya stopped talking for 6 or 7 years. Man. Right. She also sold her body. You know what I mean? But to the point that we was talking about earlier about, like, it's not about putting up those boundaries, it's about embracing all of the journey.
Right.
Right.
But arguably they both had to also set boundaries as time went on.
Perspective.
I guess that's how you look at it.
Perspective, right? And like you said, all of them was forward facing. Now we don't meet them people until the end of those traumatic experiences.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I could argue that the trauma fed the ego to feed Maya to selling her body, negating her intellect.
Her voice.
Same as Malcolm.
Literally.
Leading Malcolm to sell everything.
Literally, yep.
Literally.
Evading his own intellect. You know what I mean? And them people didn't find themselves, they got back to themselves.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just very interesting to me.
Right.
Both of their stories.
Both highly,
you know what I mean?
highly intelligent, right? So, and to your point about it being a part of the journey, and it really was. I don't feel, and I'll die on this hill. Like, I really truly do believe it was a part of. It really was intrinsic and necessary to be all those things. It didn't. The only thing, it just added to the intellect, right? It just really created more color to the story, and I live for that.
I love that.
And to that point, right? Maybe it's those early traumatic experiences that strips you of the ego.
It can.
You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I hope not.
It can be.
I hope not. I got to push back on that. I hope not.
What do you mean?
I hope not. I hope those traumatic incidents and those negative experiences does not strip you of one's ego. I hope the ego is what allows you to persevere through it.
Ego
to
is
push
necessary.
Through. I do.
It is necessary.
That foolish pride that Jay-Z speaks about in terms of holding me together through all these years. I hope that is the thing that allows me to push through sexual assault, allows me to push through ill parenting, allows me to push through whatever disadvantages I was born into or had to go through or grow through. Whatever. I hope, if it's ego, if it's whatever, right? If it's a helping hand, whatever it is, something that allows me to get through this. And if it's ego, cool, I'll check ego on the other side. But I need to get through this bullshit first. And if the only thing to get me through is, man, I know I'm way fucking better than fuck all y'all, I'm better than all this shit, then you rat that motherfucking ego. And if maybe it turns you into a pimp on the other side immediately. Maybe you become Detroit Red on the other side immediately. Maybe it kills ego and it says, well, I got this pussy, I'm gonna sell it for a little while. Cool, right? Pushes you through until you can find that enlightenment on the other side to become one of the greatest writers and orators of all time, one of the greatest leaders and also orators of all time. Like, whatever gets you through. I just hope that I hope the ego and that sense of confidence, that sense of who I actually am, doesn't die on that bed of sexual assault, on that bed of, misguidance or whatever it may be.
I think it's about understanding of the ego first, right? I don't think it's ego that gets you through, right? I think it's ego that pushed them to Detroit Red. I think it's ego that pushed Maya to selling pussy, Right. My personal opinion of how I'm identifying ego.
Right. It starts from the beginning. It's like your overall framework of what ego.
And it's the death of the ego that brings them back to the wholeness of I'm valuable without this shit. Right? And I can't speak to Maya's situation about selling her body. It might have been a survival.
Yeah, it was pretty complex actually.
Contextually, but even how we see survival. This is what I'm getting to, right? When Imani says I rushed to finish because I felt like I had to accomplish something. Why couldn't I just be? Right? Malcolm pimping women. Why can't he just be? Whatever that looks like without the pimping women. Right? Because obviously the pimping women, he would justify as a means of survival. But what kind of survival did you need? Did you need this for drug usage? Did you need this for, what does that mean? Right? And what other ways could you have gotten there? Right?
What else am I capable of?
What else are you capable of? And obviously both of you all are capable of an immense amount of things.
Unless the ego gets killed early.
But there's another side of that too. And this is why I said there's other people, even when we start thinking about the social media era, but we ain't got to go to the social media era. There are people who never let go of the ego. And for me, those people often live lives that don't have valuable to existence. They're not valuable to the experience because they didn't come to do what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
They didn't come to do what they came to do, right? And all of us are uniquely connected on this planet to come here to do what we here to do. It's very similar to the conversation we was having with my man from 365 Dad.
Sure.
Right, we was talking about violence and anti-violence.
Sure.
And I said, man, we had this
Shout out to Gary Lewis.
We had this concept that this is not natural. But if we look at all of the world and all the history of the world, it's very natural.
No, it's real.
You know what I mean?
It's real.
It's par for the course, right? A young lion, every day is violent.
You gotta get to it.
You know what I'm saying? It just is what the fuck it is. You gonna make it or you not gonna make it. You know what I mean? The gazelle and the lion both wake up every fucking day, right? And the slowest gazelle got to outrun the fastest fucking lion, right? And the fastest lion got to outrun the slowest gazelle. One of us gonna die, motherfucker.
I gotta get to it.
It's just the game.
We gotta slide, man. Imani, before we do, please tell the people where they can find you if you want to be found.
I don't want to be found.
All right. Well, where can they find the book?
So, my Instagram is the fastest way. My Instagram is Imaniality, which is my name. IMANIALITY on Instagram. Imaniality, and on my Instagram and my link, my bio, you'll see my link tree, which will have both books in it. Yeah.
Imani, thank you so much for coming through. We appreciate you. You are a very, very unique combination of intellect and thuggery, and we appreciate it. We appreciate it, man. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
To come chop it up with us is always an absolute pleasure, man. Y'all make sure y'all stay in tune with Imani, Imaniality on Instagram. Get the book. Get both books. If you ain't went back for the first one, grab both of them, man. This is a bit of a journey. I know it's gonna be another book on the way. I can just tell how they are that there's gonna be some more to the story, but truly appreciate you for coming through.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for tuning in. As always, we greatly appreciate each and every one of you all for tuning in. As always, your input was valued and certainly appreciated for any and everything that you add to the conversation. Please make sure you share the conversation with somebody that would add value to or find value in this particular conversation. Again, it is intellectual thuggery at its absolute finest. Again, huge shout out to Imani for coming through and kicking it with us, for P doing all the hard work behind the camera, and for Momager E4O doing everything that E4O does for the Herb and Two podcast. My name is Herb. His name is Two. Y'all be good to each other. Peace.
Salam alaikum. And it,
mate,
bruv,
proper.